You have it all wrong. I had it all wrong. I thought that Bitcoin cycles get generated through the Bitcoin halvening. The idea that Bitcoin's new supply gets cut in half every 4 years, creating a demand and supply imbalance. Now, Raoul Pal has a very different take on this. We will watch 1 to 2 minutes here together. But as a quick spoiler, the idea is that it's the debt cycle that causes the Bitcoin cycle, that it's monetary expansion that moves asset prices, and that it's upcoming interest rate payments on bonds that cause further money printing, pushing up Bitcoin's price and all asset prices, especially the liquid ones, stocks for example. Let's watch this together. It's a very interesting chart that's being shared here.
So what is this balance sheet expansion all about? This chart is a chart I've not seen anywhere else. And that is the chart of the balance sheet, which is in white versus in gold. It's the interest payments on the debt and is lagged by 36 months or leads it by 36 months. What it's telling you is that for some reason, all interest payments from 36 months ago are being paid for by debasement, i.e. they basically put them on the Fed balance sheet in quantitative easing. So what is this all about? This is to do with the Great Reset. One thing that everybody expected was a Great Reset. Well, I've now realized it happened. It happened in 2008 when all rates went to zero globally. And that essentially allowed everybody to reset their debt payments. Okay, that's like a debt jubilee. You didn't forgive the whole debt, but you basically forgave the interest payment. And everybody rolled their debts 3 to 5 years. So now we have a concentration of all government debts around the world in this 3 to 5 year sector, which every 3 to 5 years gets rolled. And that is leading to a cyclicality in the economy, that it starts slowing down because the interest payments become due. The economy starts slowing down, and eventually the central banks monetize those interest payments from the previous cycle and roll over the debt. I'm expecting the same again, and that would give us this chart. This is the future use of the balance sheet, potentially matching the interest payments to come. You can see the massive spike that was due in 2025. Those are the payments from the pandemic period. So it looks to me like there's a lot of debasement to come. It says the balance sheet gets to $12 trillion. I actually think it goes higher because I think some of the banking crisis gets tacked on. So I'm looking for something like $14 trillion from the balance sheet. Let's not get caught up in the exact projections and the exact maths. It basically tells us there's more balance sheet woes to come, more debasement, and that's very good for crypto. It also proves out the case why we need crypto, the broken financial system. Now, if you remember, Bitcoin was launched in 2008, 2009 period. That is the same period when interest rates went to zero. And guess what? The halving cycle is exactly the same as the economic debt payment cycle. They're all the same thing because they were all born at the same time. So that, I think, is the big driver. The macro is the big driver. So when we zoom out, we look at the Bitcoin chart on a log scale, and you can see the trend rate of adoption over time. The acceleration is when the balance sheets start getting used and people start putting money into the space, and the space grows over time. And we will see that ongoing. So the total crypto market cap hit 3 trillion at peak. What will it be at next peak? Probably 10 trillion. As more money comes in, more people stay in the system and opt out of the old system, or find new uses and applications in a Web3 world that makes the internet just better, fairer, and more democratized and more decentralized.
I find this thought pretty interesting. It would imply that there is a quite high correlation between traditional markets and Bitcoin, and that in the end Bitcoin is just a levered version of traditional markets. When the Nasdaq goes up, Bitcoin goes up, and vice versa. And it's all driven by how much debt the governments take. It's all driven how much money expands in quantity or how much fiat devalues. Now this chart implies that we will see quite a bit of an expansion just at the later end of this year, which then slightly accelerates in 2024 and then really blasts off in 2025. It also implies that the worst is over and that we've already seen the bottom in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now I do have my doubts with this logarithmic regression though. There are a lot of those kinds of models out there. Many have some kind of curvature to them. Many fit the price data even better than shown over here. But those kind of models have to be retrofitted, have to be adjusted regularly. and I made a dedicated video just on that model. So feel free to check that out. It comes directly after this video. Feel also free to join our Telegram. Simply search for Bitcoin Strategy Channel within the Telegram app or click the link down below. I hang around there regularly, looking forward to chatting with you. Next comes the video on the logarithmic regression. It's over here. A very differentiated analysis, a discussion you've probably not yet watched in that kind of depth before.